From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. Direct and live from the shores of Santa Monica, California. In this recording, we'll go over the breaking news about your fourth stimulus recon of the big money, the social spending bill, the Build Back Better Act. The President of the United States addressed the American people this week and said it's happening, and those incredible checks would pay at least $15,000 to $60,000 of checks, and in there would be potentially an MSC. The great news is that millions of Americans are getting it, the President of the United States says. I have the latest on Afternoons. Then we turn to the situation unfolding domestically impacted by the world events. Gasoline prices and wheat prices surging out of control. It could cause massive inflation and it could cause massive recession. What is the president doing about today? In view of what Vladimir Putin's doing, I have the breaking news as well. Then we turn back to your money impacted by the events of the Black Sea back at home and the CR for Stimulus 1.0, right around the horizon, just a few days away, with the potential to put a $2,000 stimulus check. But now, overnight, an exciting developing detail. The exciting developing detail is $80,000 of new stimulus checks are being released for you. We've never seen anything in the history of this channel, and I'm going to show you how to get these new $80,000 of stimulus checks later in this video. Then we turn to the exciting developing details of SS300, the opportunity to raise your benefits up $200 to $300 a point, and this is if you're on benefits all the way to VA. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, spoke about what he's doing with interest rates in view of the events of Ukraine and Russia today, and we have the latest details on Afternoons. Then we'll be turning to the situation unfolding about gas prices and wheat and grain and corn. Corn is not embedded in the risk of the market, and this is a situation the White House is trying to pivot and deal with. Are they dealing with it quick enough? I have the latest details today. Then we look back at what's happening with the humanitarian crisis and a new situation unfolding. Not good as refugees fleeing and not getting a safe harbor across the aisle. All the latest details across the globe and also back at home. It's a big broadcast of Afternoons LA, and I'm excited you're here. We got a lot going on and a lot of breaking news, even on a day like this. On a weekend in which we thought we had a safe harbor for refugees to flee war-torn Ukraine, we may not. I have that coming up in the second half of this video. But first, your big money with $80,000 of new stimulus checks released overnight. I'm going to show you how to get these incredible sums of money. It's a great day for you, and the excitement starts right now. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day and hope your week has gone well. Overseas, the war in Ukraine and Russia goes into week 2. I'll have the latest details from there in just a second. But we're going to start with the Build Back Better Act, which the president name-checked during the State of the Union address this week. Great news because we didn't expect him to even mention it. He not only mentioned it, but actually mentioned the provisions. And less than 24 hours after that, on Friday, I announced that the president was releasing an additional $80,000 of stimulus checks with a new program that is absolutely incredible. It's on top of all the CR for Stimulus, SS200, SS300, and for Stimulus Recon covered in this video. And it's in addition to those MSC's checks. So how do you get these new $80,000 of checks? I'll go over them in this afternoon's broadcast. But tonight, stay tuned, because at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, is the return of America's new hit show. It's Evenings LA, the #1 most watched financial news show in prime time. And it covers your money in a way in which people haven't seen this coverage before. Gas prices, wheat prices, and understanding very basic, and also delivering the level of understanding of how world events are impacting your wallet at home, and how we as an economy have to pivot and deal with it domestically and also with our partner allies. It's tonight at 5 o'clock, and I look forward to seeing you in that show. Let's go right into the Build Back Better Act mentioned by the President of the United States this week during the State of the Union address, and those incredible checks are going out. Those incredible checks amount to 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Average view of this channel will likely get somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000 of checks. And those checks are across 3 clusters, but start with at least about $15,000 of checks. Let's look at each of those clusters right now. Cluster number one, hazard pay, got in there for my essential workers. One more year, established under third stimulus, but doing a little bit more under fourth stimulus. $4,000 of elder care got in there. $4,000 of care for young children got in there. The Pell Grant $550 checks for college students got in there. And then the home repairs to repair your home if you live in a low-income community, those incredible checks got in there as well. There are three clusters of checks and three add-ons of checks in the Build Back Better Act, and those incredible checks get their first add-on here from Southern California and Maxine Waters. She got the provision in there of at least $25,000 approximately for the purchase of your first home. It's incredible. Given to the seller in your name by the federal government at the time of escrow. Learn about tonight on that 1 hour special broadcast of Eating to LALATE in prime time. Now let's go to the second cluster of checks, home repairs and paid leave. Paid leave is if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness, and it pays a lot, upwards of $5,000 to $6,000 a person annually. W-2 1099. And if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work, they'll get the check if they have to take off for work because of you. There's also home repairs in there to weatherize your home. That is the second of three clusters of checks. Now, the third add-on of checks is incredibly important because millions of Americans need this. And ironically, it's not yet law. If you have to stay home due to sickness or illness and you need home health care, you don't have that coverage yet. Joe Biden made a campaign promise, and Bob Casey got in there. A little bit less than $250 billion. It's incredible. Now let's look at that third cluster of checks, and it gets even better. Seniors and free internet for all, and then farmers checks, independent contract checks, and seniors checks. Seniors getting 2 on the House and 3 checks on the Senate side. On the House side, the Medicaid gap fix and the hearing checks. On the Senate side, the vision, dental, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare. To learn more about those checks, tune into the 5 o'clock 1 hour special where we go over all these incredible checks in detail. But the next add-on of checks, the third, on the Senate side, of course, is MSC, monthly IRS stimulus checks. The senators represent tens of thousands of viewers of this channel. It's in provision that will be added on the Senate side. And these are IRS stimulus checks that are automatic for adults, in addition to the existing checks that are already in the Build Back Better Act that pay you about $40,000 across the land. So who gets these MSCs? Eligibility would be the same as a third stimulus check, represents as indicates to viewers of this channel. So single individuals, $75,000 less, you would get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it as well. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you get as well. It's not California stimulus. In California, we get a surfboard. And it's not taxable. It's not income, and you don't have to return it. I mean, if you want to return it, you can, but you don't have to. You can donate it, to the Lobster Festival. There you go. How much do you get? $2,000 a month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. This is MSC, and this is among the provisions that would be added on the Senate side. Now, the senators have a lot of other things to do, and one of the first things they got to do is do the CR for stimulus. The CR for stimulus is just days away, and that's an opportunity to get you a check sooner than that. And that CR for stimulus deadline is just a few days away in March. CR for stimulus, what does this mean? What is a CR? What does CR for stimulus mean? In 2020, we had a first stimulus package. We got the money, we got a check, and then we heard about a second stimulus package. And then suddenly, 11 months went on, and we didn't get a check. We said, what's going on here, folks? So I thought to myself, I need a solution for the American people. And I came up with a solution, my creation, on this channel. It was called CR for Stimulus. Why? I wanted to use a small bill, a continuing resolution, a CR, that has inherent deadline, then December, that had bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats, and an inherent deadline in December, and that we can insert a stimulus check in there faster than a massive package that was going on for 11 months. I came up with the idea to insert a stimulus check in the December 2020 CR, and the viewership of this channel, the Purple Power community, advocated for it. And together we made history. I made history because the CR for stimulus happened. Millions of Americans got a $600 stimulus check in the continuing resolution because of my creation on this channel. And the viewership of this channel, you, the Purple Power community, made history because you advocated for it, Congress listened, and they got it out. So what's the opportunity in front of us right now? The same, just 2 years later. 5 weeks ago, I said to viewers, do you want me to bring it on back? And they said yes. We support Build Back Better Act. It will get passed, but this is a way to get checks sooner. Again, a continuing resolution. It's to fund the federal government. $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds are in there. dedicated to the discretion of cabinet members of Joe Biden to spend it on whatever so needed. Far more than enough than a $2,000 stimulus check. Negotiations are complete. House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, inherent deadline just a few days away. And while Joe Biden this week said that he wanted a little bit of the money for COVID testing, it would not impair the ability to give you a check. So what's important for you to do is advocate to ensure the inclusion of a check in there, because that inherent deadline is right around the corner. Now, going into Friday, we were looking to see where the situation is unfolding about CR and where the situation is unfolding about economic data. The economic data that came in on Friday was actually quite telling, and it showed us why we need CR for stimulus, because guess what? The February jobs reports were released on Friday to millions of Americans. It showed that millions of new jobs, hundreds of thousands of new jobs were created, but not particularly all good news. Why? It showed that because of inflation, people returned back to the workforce in new numbers. So non-payroll jobs rose 687,000 in February, higher than initially expected. They're expecting less than 500,000. But people returned to jobs because inflation was hitting them too hardly. And here's where the data is fascinating. People returned to jobs and got paid 5.1% more than last year on the salary. So the salary went up 5%, but their inflation went up about 8 to 12%. So they returned back to jobs where the value of their paycheck was worth less. This is why CR for stimulus is needed across the board, and that's why you need to advocate for it as well. CR for stimulus 2 and 3.0 right behind that on the horizon. The Republican and Democrats, both House and Senate, say they're going to merge this in the Senate. No inherent deadline. Started in the House with a Pete Aguilar bill, passed, sent to the Senate where Republican senators led by Todd Young says ours are going to merge with the Democratic version, but no inherent deadline. The most inherent deadline right behind this CR for stimulus is, of course, the exciting details of SS300. Now, out of nowhere, before SS300 came a big surprise, and that was $80,000 of new stimulus checks announced on Friday. Usually at this time of the recording, I tell you the next thing lined up after CR for stimulus is SS300. Not the case, because the thing that's jumping in front of everything right away is $80,000 of new stimulus checks. And this is astronomical. These are checks going live by potentially next Monday. And this is absolutely out of nowhere. It's incredible, and it's what this channel's all about. If checks become available, I tell you how to get them. And when they become available, you pounce as a Purple Hawk, because they're not around indefinitely. This channel launched because of the EIDL grant and EIDL loan that millions of Americans didn't even know about. Showed viewers how to get it. I pushed the recording on the first day when PUA went live. Millions of Americans didn't know that what it was. And now another program about to go live. Are you ready to get the money? Are you ready to get the information? It's coming up later in this video. But first, coming up after the commercial break, we're going to go into what Joe Biden can do with SS300 and what Jay Powell said this week. Then we're going to look at the opportunity to get those benefits raised up $200 right away with a phone call from Joe Biden. Then we'll be looking at the unfolding situation of oil and wheat. You may have heard about the gas prices, but have you heard about the wheat prices? You probably have not. And guess who's also not talking about it yet? Wall Street. And now Wall Street's having to pivot because wheat prices are out of control because of the acts of aggression overseas by Vladimir Putin. This is a situation that's folding by the minute, and it's very fascinating because guess what? If we don't assess the wheat situation at home, this could spiral us into a recession faster than even the oil situation. The analysis of where the oil and wheat prices are today on Afternoons LALATE, and then I'll look back at the situation unfolding in Ukraine and Russia. Bad news, as a corridor that was supposed to be a safe harbor for fleeing refugees is no longer safe at the time of this broadcast. On the latest details overseas and the economics that impact you back at home, it's a big Afternoons LALATE, and we're just getting started with more of those money, including those $80,000 of new stimulus checks, coming up after the commercial break, and more checks on top of that. I'll see you back in 60 seconds as Afternoons continues on this afternoon's edition. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well.
Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LA second half. We'll go over to the acts of aggression of Vladimir Putin and why he's impacting not only wheat and oil in just a second, but boy, the first exciting news is those $80,000 of new stimulus checks announced by the White House. I have the latest details in the second half, needed in view of the situation unfolding back in the States as oil and wheat prices surge out of control, and Jay Powell trying to pivot. What is he doing with your SS300 and how it impacts it? I have the latest on that. Then we look back at the big money from third stimulus as viewers continue to get it, and we look at a preview of tonight's evening's LA broadcast at 1 o'clock. It's a special report you don't want to miss. It's at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And with that, I'm proud that you're part of this incredible family. Go under this video and also subscribe. Like the video and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. A lot of details across the board that you want to miss, you don't want to miss, and a lot of economics and numbers and checks you want to grab. I have all those incredible details tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with America's #1 most watched show in prime time for financial news, LALATE. All right, let's go into the situation unfolding with the SS300. The SS300 got a great pivot this week as the White House and both Joe Biden and the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jay Powell, said we're not going to lock ourselves down into a tightrope because we have a very fluid situation overseas. Great news. And that was the pivoting by both the White House and Treasury and the Fed this week. Jay Powell has the opportunity to lower inflation. And he lowers inflation by raising interest rates. But you want Jay Powell to do that after Joe Biden swaps COLA out for inflation as your new benchmark for SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits. SS300 featured more tonight on Evenings LA is currently on a benchmark of COLA. When you swap it out for inflation, your benefits will go up about $200 more per month right now because inflation is tracking about 8%. But Jay Powell can't leave it at 8%. He's head of the Federal Reserve, and his job is to bring it down. And when he brings it down, then slowly it tracks down. But the great news is when you swap your benefits out for a higher benchmark, and now you're locked into that higher benchmark. So that's why Joe Biden needs to make the swap right now. What did Jay Powell say about inflation this week? And what was that clarity? And why did he go beyond what I even expected him to do? Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, seen here, actually picked up the message and said, I'm going to do a quarter basis point. I'm not going to do a half basis point, and I'm not going to do anything more severe just yet. He has 5 meetings in 5 months to determine how many interest rate spikes he's going to do. And for now, he gave us more clarity than we anticipated. He said, I'm going to do a quarter basis point this month. And next month, I'm going to stay also do another quarter basis point. I'm going to stay there for now until I know what's going on with Vladimir Putin. I'm not going to do more because if I do too much, then we may have an issue across the board. So he's not going to come in too strong on his push. He's only going to do a quarter basis point for now. That's why Joe Biden needs to make that phone call to the Social Security Administrator, say swap out COLA for inflation. I'll have more about tonight on the evening's 1-hour special broadcast. Now, out of nowhere, the President of the United States announced this week on Friday that $80,000 of new stimulus checks are going out. Are you excited? I am, because many of these checks involve items never featured before on this channel for programs that many viewers have always asked for since day one of this channel when it launched. Now let's understand the status of this program. 1, it's been announced. 2, it's been funded. 3, it will be nationwide everywhere except the state of New York. And number 4, it's not particularly live yet. So if this looks exactly like day one of this channel, when you saw me on the beaches of Hermosa Beach recording and saying, I got money for you for an EIDL grant about to go live, I got money for you for a PUA about to go live, it's just like this now. You need to grasp the information, take notes, and be ready to pounce, because this is not something you can stand at the mailbox and look for. This is money you have to physically get your pen, your fingers, and your keyboard ready to grab it. And when you do, you are going to clean up. What's at issue? It's a new program that will fund millions of Americans' households $15,000 to $80,000. Eligibility, same as a stimulus check. The eligibility income levels are same as featured on first, second, third, and fourth stimulus on this channel for over the last year. Family, single individual, $75,000 or less, approximately, you qualify. Married couple, $150,000 less, you qualify. Family of four, quadruple, you qualify for it. Average payout, $15,000 to $80,000. What is the funny money called? It's not funny. It's just a lot of money. What's the money called? The Homeowners Assistance Fund. The overseer will be the Department of Treasury. Where will you get the money from? First, if you watch last night's Evening's LALATE newsletter, which is delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, it was upgraded and updated to include information about this program. So if you're a member of this channel, open the newsletter that came out on Friday, and it's now going to have it every day, Monday through Friday, this updated information. It includes a link to the program and the program's mapping system and the program's application system. It also includes the guidelines, which I'm about to go over. So if this is a lot of information to digest very quickly in a video, become a member and get that newsletter. It's all detailed in there. Eligibility will be for an individual who has a primary residence and needs assistance. You do not have to be behind on your bills. That is great. And the money is astronomical. It goes for items that many viewers have asked for over a year and a half of this channel and have never gotten the money for, like mortgage payments, homeowners insurance, association fees, utilities, home repairs, and other household expenses. Again, average payment is $15,000 to $80,000 in checks. This is in addition to the Build Back Better Act checks that pays you $50,000 to $60,000. This is in addition to the MSC checks. This is in addition to CR for stimulus. This is in addition to SS 300. And this is in addition to the big money that viewers are getting today, still from third stimulus. Now, have you gotten third stimulus this week? If you haven't, you need to, because third stimulus is still paying out, and it's paying out a lot of money, folks. The average view of this channel has gotten 45,000, and in the last week, viewers have gone beyond and beyond. What have they done? Viewers were told by me to usually get around 3 to 5 months of rent. And we've been doing this since third stimulus became law in January 2020. But now viewers are getting 11 months of rent, 9 years of rent. So where do you get that rent from? Follow along right now. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, and your county house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And what are we doing here? We are getting third stimulus, which became law in spring 2021. Third stimulus is still paying out, and the viewership of this channel has gotten on average 45,000, but they're getting new rounds. And the viewership is now getting rounds this time of longer durations than ever seen before. What are some of the success stories? The success stories are absolutely incredible. Some of the success stories that come in the last week are viewers who have gotten nearly a year to 9 years of rent. Let's look at some of the success stories that have come on in. Lorraine, who was in the evening's LA 1 hour special report 2 days ago, said, "Hey, LA, I found for a program that I qualify for, I'm getting 70% off of my rent for the next 9 years because of your show. Then it'll become permanent for my lifetime." Wow. She found that out because of watching our Evenings LA 1 hour special reports, Monday through Friday, 7 days a week, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. She's not alone. She's not alone, because also Bill Garcetti says this week, "I got 1 year of rent because of your channel." Incredible. Also not alone is viewers who got in one round that was very big, far more than 3 months, and they got another round. Here came in Brian Donahue, got 5 months of rent before and got another 5 months again across the land. So where do you get these monies? You reach out to those places featured in the loop and also featured in the newsletter. Go out and get that money right now. Reach out to 6 places. You must put multiple applications on the file, and you must do multiple rounds. Open that newsletter and get those incredible details. Become a member. The link is under the video right today. and also rely on the nonprofits. The nonprofits will help you get those incredible sums of money. Finally, what's important to understand is that the average viewer of this channel has gotten $45,000. You should get those sums of money as well. Go get them and don't wait. This is money that's available. It's in addition to all the other sums of money featured in today's recording. And this money is still paid out across the land. Wow. The situation unfolding right today about Brent crude and wheat is very fluid. And it's going to be featured tonight on Evenings LA. What's at issue? We need to stabilize our economy in view of the acts of aggression by Vladimir Putin. And because of the Ukrainian invasion by Vladimir Putin, wheat and oil prices are surging out of control. Now, you may hear about gas prices on social media. You may hear about gas prices from legislators. But have you heard about wheat? You haven't. And who's also not assessing the risk of wheat? Wall Street. And this is very troubling because guess what? Wheat could destabilize our economy faster than oil prices, and wheat is a far more complicated subject matter. So let me tell you the latest details across the board of what's happening right today. And we'll have more about this tonight on Evenings LA. You're looking at the beautiful town of Odessa. It's on the Black Sea. It's in Ukraine. It's spectacular. And it is the #1 port city for Ukraine. Now, because it's along the water, it's very rich soil, and it produces a lot of grain and wheat. That wheat is no longer being able to be harvested and will not be able to be planted for potentially a year or 2 years to come because the harvest season is being disrupted by Vladimir Putin. This is a little bit more complicated, folks, than a barge of oil that can't get out of a port today but can go out 2 weeks from now. When you talk about disruption of crops, it could be years to come. So, the situation unfolding right today is that while oil is a major topic of discussion among U.S. legislators and the White House, and also international leaders, the issue of wheat has not, and it's starting to slowly, but not quickly enough, come into discussion. Where's the situation, and what do you need to know tonight? What you need to know tonight is that wheat prices being unstable could throw us into recession faster than oil, and yet no one's even looking at it. What's at issue? You and I knew that back in October for Halloween, I was covering Vladimir Putin's mounting of 100,000 troops at the Ukrainian border. I knew there was an issue then, in October of last year. The White House at that point should have had its Treasury Department look at all the commodities that are impacted with a potential invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Did it look at wheat? No. Now that Vladimir Putin has invaded Ukraine, has the White House looked at wheat? No. As you'll see in tonight's Evenings LA, the White House has asked about this question: have you done anything to assess the risk of wheat disruption in the United States? The answer is no. Who's also not looking at? Wall Street, not assessing the risk. Now, Wall Street assessed risk ahead of time. If you go to the supermarket, and boy, viewers are sending me a lot of messages, they didn't realize that bread has gone up so much in the last few days. A lot of U.S. companies that often don't import from France for wheat are having to pivot and import somewhere else. Now, we grow our wheat. This is not about our wheat. It's about the price of our wheat going up too high because our countries that we do business with are having to not buy it from Ukraine because it's no longer available. They have to find it somewhere else. And a shortage of wheat drives up prices, dries up your bread at home, and then could cause recession in the United States. You certainly don't see Joe Manchin talking about wheat. You don't see the White House talk about wheat, but they need to right away. I'll have more about that tonight on Evenings LA and where the wheat prices are right now. But let me tell you what we're trending at the time of this recording. The wheat prices are surging, and it is not stabilizing. Corn is up 19 to 29 cents right now at the time of this broadcast. Of course, there's no trading on wheat on the weekends, but that is the current numbers right now. What are the other numbers you need to know on where wheat and corn and soybeans are? Soybeans are up 5 to 15 cents. Soy meals up 8.60 a ton. And Chicago wheat surged dramatically on Friday, 51 to 75 cents. Kansas City wheat was up 75 cents, and Minneapolis wheat is up 16 to 80 cents. If you're a member of this channel, I now include the daily wheat prices and oil prices in the newsletter, so you have a sense of where the situation is unfolding by the minute. When we turn back to oil, this is an easier subject to understand. You're looking at the gorgeous town of Kherson, desecrated by Vladimir Putin this week. And when you look at Kherson, again, another port city, another sea along the Black Sea. What Vladimir Putin is trying to do is economically disrupt world economies. When we look at oil, what's going on with oil, and what do you need to know about oil right now? Vladimir Putin's oil only accounts for 5% of our imports in the United States. So his oil does not run our country. However, other countries are dependent on Vladimir Putin's oil, like Italy. And when there's a shortage of oil, then the price goes up. How do you get a shortage fixed? Very simply, you release more oil. Where is the oil released from? Reserve. You have it stored in a storage room. Now, the storage room can only store so much oil, so you have to release that oil before you produce more oil. How do we fix the situation domestically and internationally? In the United States, we have not ramped up production of oil in West Texas. We can. Has West Texas offered to increase production? It has. Has the White House formulated that increase? It is not. Of the latest details on what the White House said today about why it has not asked West Texas to increase production, and why the White House has not gotten its partner allies to pivot and give more oil to other countries, as Ukrainian oil and Russian oil is now no longer part of the equation. What are those partner countries doing to help in view of oil shortages with partner countries like Italy? The latest details tonight on Evenings LA. Where is Russian oil? Where's oil right today? Oil is really trending a lot. Oil is up $118 a barrel at the time of this brand new recording. That's a brand new number today. So at the time of this recording, made just about 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on this Saturday morning, oil is up $118 is up to $118 a barrel, up 7%. Where was it last night? It was trending really in the 113 to 120. In 7 days of this channel, the price of oil has gone from $100 to 120 as millions of refugees are fleeing into Poland. So this is a very fluid situation across the board. What does the White House need to do? White House has really been good at pivoting and saying we're keeping our options open, but I don't think the White House has done enough with it. And I'll go over some of the situation more in detail on tonight's Evenings LA broadcast. Finally, what's happening over in Russia that you need to know right tonight? The situation in Russia, unfortunately, is turning negative once again on the only element of good news this week. The only element of good news this week out of Russia was humanitarian corridors. If you're a mother and a child fleeing a war-torn Ukraine for safe harbor in Poland, how do you do it? Well, what happened was, during the negotiations that unfolded all this week between Ukrainian and Russian officials, they agreed upon one subject matter, which was create safe harbors for people to flee into Poland. It was good. They specifically addressed the situation, Russian and Ukrainian officials, by saying we're going to keep this subject matter relatively quiet because we don't want to talk about it in the press. We thought it was good. We thought that women and children that could flee from two Ukrainian cities would have clear, safe harbor to get to Poland. The situation tonight, folks, is that it's not that case. Two of those evacuation corridors set up in two Ukrainian cities are now being violated by Russian officials. The city of Mariupol says that Russia is violating the ceasefire agreement on early Saturday, and that Russia is not allowing women and children to safely flee. These are not armed civilians. These are pregnant women, young little babies trying to flee into Poland. They're not aggressors. These are people that are trying to find safe harbor in Poland. There was initially an announcement that the city of Mariupol would be allowed to evacuate the citizens on a humanitarian corridor today. But Russia blocked those routes. The Russian troops literally set up and did not let them exit. This, again, is the town of Mariupol, and the city council said that Russian forces have not allowed citizens to flee. They were supposed to give them at least 5 hours to flee, and that is not happening. Shelling has continued, and residents have been told to stay in their homes. Women and children who were looking to get 5 hours to flee to the Polish border were then having to go back into the homes and rush back into the homes when they thought they had a safe harbor. Imagine the imagery, which I'm not going to show on this channel, of what it looks like. There's shelling coming into your town. You want a safe harbor to get out. You want to flee into a neighboring country. You're told you got 5 hours approximately to get out. This is how you go. This is the direction you go. You can go. You start to head down that route, and then suddenly one of the two sides that negotiated the deal says, "You know what? We're going to start shelling you." And you have to rush back in your house. That was the imagery that was so shocking. The city council on social media said, unfortunately, when we were already ready, the regular army of the Russian Federation began shelling along the corridor, the humanitarian corridor. They can, go after a factory, or they can go after a military base, but this is a humanitarian corridor. There's no benefit strategically to the Russian military to go after a humanitarian corridor. It's an act of barbarism, and it's absolutely horrific. The new developments come as Russian and Ukrainian delegates prepare to meet again today. All the latest details on what happened on those developments today, and Ukrainian President of Zelensky urged NATO to establish a no-fly zone of Ukraine. That will not be happening because we'll bring U.S. troops into the equation. Very fluid situation. I'll have more tonight on Evenings LA, that 1 o'clock that 1 o'clock special report at 5 o'clock. It all impacts your wallet at home. It is the number one most watched financial news show in prime time, and it's coming on weekends as well. Brand new, and I'm excited for all your incredible comments that you've been sending me on private messages. Viewers say, I really like the show. It's really in-depth. It shows an incredible level of reporting, an incredible level of accuracy, and incredible detail to understand why there's so many economic elements at issue when we're dealing with one situation overseas, how it can impact so many world economies, and how so many things have to be done at the same time. Viewers really like the level of economic analysis, financial aspects, because ultimately, as a family, as a community, we come together as one. We, in this week, have achieved so much. In this week, we took off our masks. In this week, we understood that we are coming out of 2 years of real bad times. We have jobs being created, and yet we're worried about the price of the pump. We're being told by me on this channel, start to be worried about the price of wheat. We're worried about inflation. We're worried about other things, and then we're worried about uncertainty about this man. And it's a time like this that this community, as a Purple Power community, has come together so well. So I appreciate all your heartfelt thoughts, and I appreciate all your comments. If you have other comments as well, or success stories for rent assistance, or anything that you want to be featured on Evenings LA, send me a private message. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful afternoon, and stay with Afternoons for more.